Alex had always enjoyed the quiet mornings by the lake. Every day, he stepped outside with a warm cup of coffee, breathed in the fresh air, and watched the sunlight dance on the water. The lake was peaceful, calm, and beautiful, exactly the kind of life he wanted after years of working stressful jobs. His home sat right at the edge of the shore. Behind his house, he kept his favorite thing in the world, a shiny blue jet ski. It wasn't new, but Alex had taken care of it like a treasure. Every weekend, he rode it across the lake, enjoying the cool wind on his face and the bright freedom that came with speed. For years, his life in the community had been simple. People kept to themselves. No loud fights, no drama, no trouble, until she arrived, Karen. Everyone in the neighborhood knew her name within weeks. She was loud, controlling, and always ready to argue. She walked around the community like she owned it. She had recently become the head of the HOA, and she treated the role like she was the queen of the entire place. People whispered about her behind closed doors, but no one dared to speak openly. Most residents tried to avoid trouble and stayed silent. Alex had seen Karen before, of course, but he never imagined she would ever bother him. He didn't break rules, didn't cause drama, and wasn't involved in any community politics. He thought wrong. One bright morning, as Alex stepped into his backyard to check on his jet ski, he heard sharp, quick footsteps approaching. Before he could turn around, a loud knock hit the side gate. Bang, bang, bang. The kind of knock that instantly raised your heartbeat. Alex opened the gate slowly. There she stood, Karen, hands on her hips, eyes sharp like she came prepared for a fight. Her short blonde hair was curled perfectly, but her expression was anything but friendly. Her lips formed a tight line, and her eyebrows were pulled together like she had been angry long before she arrived. "You're Alex, right?" she said, not even waiting for a reply. "We need to talk. This is very important." Alex kept his voice calm. "Good morning. How can I help you?" Karen didn't waste a second. She stepped forward and pointed directly at the jet ski behind him. "That," she said firmly. "I need that." Alex blinked in confusion. "My jet ski." "Yes, your jet ski," she repeated, speaking slowly like she thought he was stupid. "My son wants to use it. He has been begging for one, but we don't have space to keep our own, so it makes more sense if he uses yours. You are a neighbor, after all. You should be helpful." Alex stared at her, trying to understand if she was serious. She was. Karen crossed her arms. "Hand over the keys. He wants to ride it this afternoon." Alex took a slow breath. "I'm sorry, but no. That's my personal property." Karen's eyes widened in disbelief. "Excuse me. It's my jet ski," he repeated. "I don't lend it out. It can be dangerous." Karen stepped even closer, her perfume sharp and strong. "Listen, Alex, I am the HOA president. I make sure this community stays in order. I noticed your jet ski has been here for a long time. I could check if it meets our storage rules. It may not, and we can fine people for violations." Alex felt a cold wave move through his chest. Was she threatening him? "I'm not breaking any rules," he said calmly. Karen smirked. "Are you sure? I can double check." He didn't answer. Karen took his silence as fear. "Good," she said, satisfied. "So here is what we're going to do. You're going to give my son the jet ski for the summer, and in return, I will make sure you don't have any HOA problems. No fines, no warnings. That's a fair deal, right?" Alex shook his head. "I'm sorry, Karen, but the answer is still no." Karen's face cracked like glass. "You don't want trouble with me," she hissed softly. "I can make your life very difficult here." Alex stood his ground. "I'm not giving away my jet ski." Karen's smile returned, but it wasn't friendly. It was slow and strange, like she was already imagining her next move. "Fine," she said. "If that's how you wanted to play, then don't blame me for what happens next." She turned around sharply, her heels clicking loudly on the pavement as she stormed away. But before she disappeared through the gate, she looked back one last time. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." "Alex," the gate slammed. Silence filled the backyard again, but now the peaceful lake felt different. The sun still sparkled on the water, but Alex felt a strange heaviness in the air. He didn't know what Karen was planning, but one thing was clear. This wasn't over, not even close, because Karen didn't just want the jet ski. She wanted power. And she had just decided that Alex was standing in her way. And the worst part, Karen had no idea who he really was, or who he worked with. That secret, still hidden, was the one thing that would soon change everything. The next morning, Alex woke up with a strange feeling in his chest. It wasn't fear. It was something heavier, like a cold cloud hanging over his home. Karen's last words kept echoing in his mind. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Alex tried to shake it off. He made his usual coffee, stepped outside, and watched the lake. The water was calm, the birds were singing, and the morning sun felt warm on his face. It was hard to believe someone like Karen could disturb such a peaceful place. But peace didn't last long. Just as Alex sat down on his porch chair, he heard the sound of footsteps again, fast and heavy. But these were not coming to his gate. They were moving house to house, door to door. Then he saw her. Karen. She was walking around the neighborhood with a clipboard in her hand. Her eyes moved from one house to another, scanning everything like a hawk searching for prey. She wasn't alone. Her son, a tall boy around 16, followed her like a shadow. He was holding a phone and filming random things. Karen wanted power, but her son wanted attention. Together, they were trouble. She hadn't seen Alex yet, but Alex watched quietly from his porch as Karen walked to each neighbor, whispering something, pointing toward his house again and again. A cold thought hit him. She's talking about me. Minutes later, Karen finally turned and noticed him sitting on the porch. Her smile spread slowly to sweet, to fake. The kind of smile that made your stomach twist. She waved at him. Alex didn't wave back. Karen kept walking, but her smile never faded. Something was coming. The first letter when Alex went to check his mailbox around noon. He found a white envelope with large red letters across the front. HOA notice. Immediate action required. He opened it slowly, expecting something ridiculous. It was worse. Karen had written a warning stating that Alex's jet ski was stored improperly and creating visual clutter. He laughed a little. His jet ski was behind his house, in a private fenced area. No one could even see it unless they came looking for it. But the warning said, you must remove or relocate the jet ski within 48 hours. Alex shook his head. He knew exactly what this was. Karen's first attack. He didn't respond. He didn't remove the jet ski. He simply went inside and waited. He didn't have to wait long. Neighbors acting strange. By the evening, Alex noticed something odd. His neighbors, who usually smiled or waved, were suddenly avoiding eye contact. A couple walking their dog crossed to the other side of the street when they saw him. Another neighbor pretended to check his mail just to avoid talking. Alex didn't understand why, until he stepped outside again and heard two neighbors whispering behind their fence. Did you hear? He yelled at Karen, I know. And he refused to follow HOA rules. She said he's dangerous. Who knows what he's hiding? Alex froze. Karen had started spreading lies. He wasn't angry, he was disappointed. People believed rumors so easily, but he didn't confront anyone. He decided to stay calm and observe, because he knew Karen's type. They always revealed themselves if you waited long enough. Nighttime trouble around 10 p.m. Alex locked his doors and got ready for bed. But before turning off the lights, he glanced out the window toward the backyard. That's when he saw movement. A shadow. No, two shadows. He stepped back quietly, hiding behind the curtain. Karen's son and another boy were sneaking near his jet ski. They were whispering and laughing. Dude, let's just take it, one of them said. My mom said it's basically ours, Karen's son replied. Alex clenched his jaw. They were going to steal it. He opened the back door and stepped onto the porch light switch. The lights flashed on, bright and harsh. The boys froze like deer caught in headlights. Can I help you? Alex said, his voice calm but firm. Karen's son jumped back. We were just, looking at something. Alex stared at them without blinking. Leave. The boys scrambled away, tripping over their own feet, running back toward Karen's house. Alex watched them disappear into the dark. He didn't chase them. He didn't shout. But now he knew for sure. Karen wasn't just being annoying. She was dangerous. The second letter. The next morning, another envelope appeared on his door. This time, the letter said, Alex, was being fined to $100 for aggressive behavior toward minors. Alex laughed out loud when he read it. Aggressive? He hadn't even raised his voice. It was obvious now Karen was creating fake complaints just to pressure him, to force him into giving up the jet ski, to make him bend. But Alex didn't bend, not anymore. He grabbed a pen and wrote a short note. Your actions have been documented. Stop sending fake warnings. He put the note in an envelope and slipped it into the HOA drop box. He knew it wouldn't stop Karen, but he wanted her to know. He wasn't scared. Karen Wandsworth afternoon. Alex saw Karen again standing in front of his house, talking loudly to a group of neighbors. He refuses to cooperate. She shouted, "He is breaking rules. If he thinks he can scare me, he is wrong." Her voice echoed across the quiet street. People looked uncomfortable, but no one argued with her. Karen loved attention. She loved control, and she loved making herself the victim. Alex didn't step outside. He simply watched through his window. Karen finally pointed directly at his house and said loudly, "If he won't follow the rules, I'll make sure he does." Her son smirked behind her. Alex closed the curtains. Karen had started a war, but she still didn't know his secret. She had no idea who he actually worked with, and what would happen when she finally found out. For the next 2 days, Alex tried to live normally. He watered his plants, cleaned his porch, and kept an eye on the lake, trying to calm his mind. But deep inside, he knew Karen wasn't finished. She was the kind of person who needed to win, even when the fight was imaginary. And now, she had decided that Alex was her new enemy. It started early on a Tuesday morning. Alex had barely finished his breakfast when he heard someone taking pictures outside his house. The camera shutter clicked again and again, fast, sharp, and annoying. He stepped outside. Karen's son was standing in the middle of the street, pointing his phone directly at Alex's backyard. What are you doing?" Alex asked calmly. The boy didn't look embarrassed at all. "My mom told me to document everything." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Document what?" The boy smirked. "Your violations." He ran off before Alex could say another word. Alex sighed. He wasn't angry. He was tired. Tired of the games, the lies, and the fake rules. But this was only the warm dash-up. Within hours, the real attack started. The first fake complaint, noise disturbance around noon. Alex received another HOA envelope. He opened it. Complaint, excessive noise from property. Residents disturbed. Alex blinked. Noise? He hadn't even used his jet ski in days. He hadn't played music. He hadn't done anything loud. He looked around the neighborhood. Everything was quiet, peaceful, normal. No one was outside. No one was complaining. Except Karen. Alex shook his head and put the letter aside. But at 3 p.m., a second letter arrived. The second fake complaint. Blocking scenery. This one said, "Your jet ski is blocking the natural lake view for multiple residents." Alex laughed out loud. His jet ski was behind his house, inside a private fenced area. No one could see it, unless they entered his yard without permission. He immediately thought of Karen's son sneaking around at night. So Karen must have sent the complaint even though she knew it was false. Karen wasn't fighting fair. But Alex already expected that. Community meeting caused next evening. The HOA held a community meeting inside the small neighborhood hall. Usually 5 or 6 people showed up. But this time, almost 20 residents were present, most of them confused, curious, or nervous. Alex didn't want drama, but he also didn't want Karen spreading more lies without him there. So he walked to the meeting hall and sat quietly near the back. Karen stood at the front, her arms crossed, her face ready for battle. She had placed her clipboard on the table like it was a weapon. When she saw Alex enter, her lips curled into a smile, cold and sharp. "Ah, you decided to join us," she said loudly. "Good, you need to hear this." People turned their heads. The room grew silent. Karen tapped her clipboard and began talking. "We have a serious problem in our community, and we must address it immediately." Her voice rose with fake importance as she pointed directly at Alex. "One of our residents, this gentleman right here, has refused to follow HOA rules, ignored warnings, and even acted aggressively toward my son." Murmurs filled the room. Alex stayed calm. Karen continued dramatically. He keeps dangerous equipment on his property, equipment that anyone could access. Children could get hurt. My son could get hurt." Her son nodded behind her like a soldier supporting his commander. Karen didn't stop. "And when I, as HOA president, tried to solve the issue, he became rude. Very rude. He scares neighbors. He refuses to cooperate. He is creating tension in the community." People looked at Alex with uncertainty. Some believed Karen. Some didn't know what to think. Alex stood slowly. "I haven't broken any rules," he said in a steady voice. "And I have not threatened anyone." Karen laughed loudly. "Oh, please. You think we believe that?" She turned to the crowd. "We must vote on giving him a fine for continued violations." A few neighbors whispered nervously. But then something unexpected happened. An older neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, raised her hand. "Karen, dear, I've lived next to Alex for years. He has never made noise, never caused trouble, never broken rules. Maybe there's a misunderstanding." Karen's fake smile vanished instantly. "Are you questioning me?" she snapped. Mrs. Thompson shrank back. I'm just saying." Karen cut her off. "I know what I'm doing. I follow the rules. I protect this community." Then she looked around the room, raising her voice. "Do you want a neighbor who ignores safety and disrespects the HOA? Do you want chaos? Because that is what will happen if we let him break rules." Alex stayed silent. He didn't want a fight. Not here, not in public. He simply observed. Karen's son leaned in close to his mother and whispered something. Karen nodded. Then she made her final announcement. "If he doesn't remove the jet ski or let my son use it, use it, then I will personally file a full violation case." Some people gasped softly. Even they knew this was personal, not professional. Alex finally spoke again. "This is not about rules." Karen pointed at him dramatically. "Oh, really? Then what is it about?" Alex looked straight at her. "It's about you wanting something that's not yours." Karen's face turned red. Her hands shook. She wasn't used to being challenged. Before she could answer, Alex finished calmly, "And you will not get it." The room went silent. Karen's son glared at Alex like he was the villain of his story. Karen closed the meeting with a loud, angry voice. "This isn't over. Not even close." She stormed out of the hall, her son following behind her like a shadow. The neighborhood turns cold after the meeting. Alex walked home slowly. A couple of neighbors avoided his eyes. Some whispered. Some didn't know what to think. Karen's lies were working. She had painted Alex as a dangerous man, and people were scared to question her. Lights inside houses turned off as he passed by, like people didn't want him to see them. Curtains moved. Heads peeked out then disappeared. The entire neighborhood was changing. And all because of Karen's obsession with one jet ski. Alex entered his home and locked the door. He took a deep breath. He knew one thing for sure. Karen wasn't finished. She was just getting started. But she had no idea who she was actually fighting, and the truth about his job, the truth about who he worked with, was going to end the game. For 2 days after the chaotic community meeting, Alex stayed quiet. He didn't argue, didn't respond to Karen's accusations, and didn't mention the jet ski to anyone. He simply waited, watched, and kept his calm. But Karen didn't stay quiet, not even for 1 hour. She wanted a reaction. She wanted Alex to break first. And when she didn't get what she wanted, she began to push harder, much harder. Morning troublight started early Thursday morning. The neighborhood was peaceful, with only the sound of birds and rustling leaves. Alex stepped out to pick up his mail, hoping for a normal day. Instead, he found 3 envelopes taped directly to his door, all marked HOA violation notice urgent. Alex tore open the first one. Violation, grass too long. He frowned. His grass was freshly trimmed. Karen must have checked it before sunrise. He opened the second letter. Violation, outdoor furniture placed incorrectly. He looked at his porch. His chairs were perfectly aligned, same as always. He opened the third letter. Penalty fee, $500 for repeated violations. Alex let out a slow breath. His patience had limits, and he could feel those limits stretching thin. Karen was no longer hiding what she was doing. She was openly attacking him. The manipulation starts around noon. Alex noticed Karen standing at the end of his driveway, holding her phone like she was recording something. Her son stood beside her, chewing gum loudly. She pointed at Alex's yard and whispered into her phone dramatically. "He refuses to follow any rules," she said, pretending to speak to someone important. "This is what we're dealing with." Alex didn't move. He didn't react. He simply folded his arms and watched her. Karen didn't like that. She marched straight toward him. "Good afternoon," she said with the fakest smile he had ever seen. "Karen." Alex replied coolly. "I came to talk about these violations," she said, waving the 3 envelopes like flags. "You need to take action immediately. They're fake," Alex said. "You made them up." Karen gasped loudly, acting like a shocked actress in a bad drama. "Fake? How dare you accuse me? I'm doing my job." "Your job doesn't include harassment," Alex replied. Karen stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Listen carefully, Alex. You're new to this community. You don't know how things work here." "I've lived here for years," Alex said. "Longer than you?" Karen ignored the correction. "If you want peace, you do what I say." She pointed toward the jet ski behind the house. "Let my son use it," she said. "And these fines? These warnings? They disappear." Her son grinned behind her, already imagining himself riding the jet ski like he owned it. Alex felt a slow heat rise in his chest. Not anger, resolve. He leaned slightly forward. "No." Karen blinked, surprised that he didn't hesitate. "Karen," Alex said evenly, "you can send as many fake letters as you want. My answer will not change." Karen stepped even closer, so close he could smell the strong perfume on her coat. "You're making a big mistake," she whispered. "I can ruin you." Alex didn't blink. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Karen laughed loudly, backing away as if she had already won. "Actually, Alex, it's you who doesn't know who I am. I run this HOA, I run this community, and nobody ignores me." She walked away, her heels clicking like a countdown timer. Her son turned back for one last smug look before following her. Alex watched them go. He knew something bigger was coming, the fake emergency around 4 p.m. Alex heard sirens, not police, but the HOA golf cart siren Karen loved to use for emergencies. The loud beeping echoed across the quiet neighborhood. He stepped outside and saw Karen driving straight toward his house with 2 HOA volunteers squeezed into the small cart like nervous passengers. She stopped right in front of his yard. Everyone stepped back. Karen shouted dramatically, waving her hands. "We have a safety hazard here." Neighbors peeked out of their windows. Karen pointed at Alex's jet ski. "This equipment is a danger to the entire community," she yelled. "It must be removed immediately." The 2 volunteers didn't look convinced, but they were too scared to question her. Alex walked forward slowly. "What is the emergency, Karen?" he asked calmly. Karen puffed up her chest like a peacock. "Your jet ski is in violation of HOA safety standards." "What standards?" Alex asked. "Show me the rule." Karen froze for a split second but recovered fast. "It's in the handbook." "There is no handbook," Alex said. "We never had one." Karen's face twitched. She turned to the volunteers. "I will handle this myself," she said. She pulled out a pre-written fine notice and slapped it onto Alex's fence. The wind blew it sideways, but she didn't notice. $500 fine, she declared loudly. "Due immediately." Alex didn't touch the paper. He didn't argue. He simply turned around and walked back inside. Karen watched him go, confused that he wasn't breaking down or exploding in anger. She wanted drama. He gave her nothing. That made her even more furious. The last strawberry evening, Karen was in full meltdown mode. Anyone who passed by her house could hear her yelling on the phone, probably complaining about Alex. To anyone who would listen. Around 7 p.m., Alex heard another knock at his door. He opened it and found Karen again. Her face was red, her hair messy, and her eyes wild. "You think you can ignore me?" she shouted. "You think you can disrespect the HOA?" Alex stood still. "Karen," he said softly, "this needs to stop." "No," she snapped. "This will stop only when you listen." She pointed again toward the jet ski. "That thing belongs to my son now. Either give it to him, or I will drown you in fines. I will turn every neighbor against you. I will make you regret moving here." Alex looked at her for a long, silent moment. Then he said one sentence that made Karen step back in surprise. You have no idea who I work with. Karen blinked. What does that mean? Alex didn't answer. He simply closed the door gently. Karen stood there, stunned. For the first time, she felt something she hadn't felt before. Uncertainty. Karen had pushed every limit. She had started a war, but Alex had reached his breaking point, and the truth about his job was about to change everything. The night after Karen's final outburst was the first time Alex couldn't sleep. Not because he was scared, but because things were finally reaching the point he had hoped to avoid. He had tried to stay peaceful. He had tried to stay quiet. He had tried to let Karen burn herself out with her own drama. But Karen had crossed every line. And now, his world, the one Karen had no idea about, was going to collide with hers. A strange morning the next day started calmer than usual. The sun was bright. A soft breeze came off the lake. Families walked their dogs. Joggers moved down the sidewalk. Everything looked normal. But Alex felt something different in the air, like the calm before a storm. He stepped outside with his coffee, trying not to think too much. But then a black SUV slowly turned onto the street. Not the usual kind of black SUV. This one had tinted windows, polished steel rims, and a small antenna on top. The type used for official transportation. The vehicle moved slowly, scanning the house numbers until it stopped right in front of Alex's driveway. Karen, who had been watering her plants across the street, froze mid-spray. Her eyes widened. Her jaw dropped. She whispered to herself, "No way. Who is that for?" The SUV door opened. Then another. Then another. Four well-dressed men stepped out, all wearing black suits, dark glasses, and earpieces. Their movements were sharp, controlled, professional. Karen's watering hose fell from her hand. The water sprayed everywhere, onto her shoes, into the bushes, across the road. But she didn't even notice. She was too busy staring. The men walked directly toward Alex's house. Alex didn't act surprised. In fact, he looked almost relieved. The lead officer smiled and gave a respectful nod. "Morning, Alex," he said. Alex nodded back. Good timing. Karen's mouth fell open so far it almost touched her collar. Her son came running outside, confused. "Mom, who are they? Are they police?" Karen didn't answer. She wasn't breathing properly. She was frozen. The officers carried folders, sealed cases, and a tablet clearly here for something serious. Karen approaches. Carefully. Karen finally snapped back to life. She dropped the hose, wiped her hands on her clothes, fixed her hair, and rushed across the street toward Alex's driveway. She approached slowly at first, like she didn't want to offend the men in suits. "Hello," she said with a shaky smile. "Is everything okay here?" The lead officer turned to her. "Ma'am, we're here for a scheduled meeting." Karen's eyebrows shot up. With him?" She pointed at Alex, like he was a criminal. "Yes," the officer replied plainly. "With Mr. Alex Carter." Karen gulped. Her son whispered, "Mom, why would they meet him at his house? Who is he?" Karen didn't answer. She was too busy staring at Alex, like he had transformed into an entirely different person overnight. The meeting begins. The officers pulled out blueprints, maps of the lake, and paperwork. Alex led them to his porch table, where they spread everything out neatly. Karen hovered nearby like a nervous bird. The lead officer spoke loudly, too loudly for Karen's comfort. "We reviewed the lake access routes. Your security clearance is updated. We'll need your opinion on the new equipment layout." Karen's eyes widened, as if they were about to fall out of her head. "Security clearance?" She whispered to herself. Another officer added, "The director said to thank you for your last report. It helped a lot with the federal review." Karen covered her mouth with her hand. "Federal? Director? Review?" Her son whispered, "Mom, what does he work with? CIA? FBI? Military?" Karen didn't know, but she also didn't blink. Karen can't hold back. Karen walked closer, pretending she belonged in the conversation. "I'm sorry," she said, forcing a smile. "I'm the HOA president. Is everything okay with him? Is he in trouble?" The lead officer stared at her, like she had just asked the most ridiculous question in the world. "Trouble," he repeated. "Ma'am, Alex is one of our top consultants." Karen froze completely. The officer continued. "He works with us on safety operations, national security planning, and lake management protocols." Karen felt the ground slip from under her. Her knees weakened. Her son whispered, "Mom, you argued with that guy?" Karen whispered back, "I think we made a big mistake." The officer looked directly at her. "Is there an issue between you and Mr. Carter?" Karen shook her head too fast. No issue. Everything is perfect. Absolutely perfect. He's a wonderful neighbor." Alex bit back a smile. The officers continued their work, discussing details, flipping through files, and asking Alex for updates. Karen hovered like a helicopter parent, terrified of making any noise. The real twist when the meeting wrapped up. The lead officer turned to Alex. "By the way," he said, "the department received reports of harassment against you. If you need us to handle anything, just let us know." Karen choked on her own saliva. Her face turned pale. Alex glanced at her calmly. "I have everything documented," he said, "but I'll let you know if it continues." The officer nodded. "We take these matters very seriously." Karen's son whispered, "Mom, he told them about you?" Karen whispered back, "No, but he could. And if he does, we're doomed." Karen's forced apology as the SUV pulled away and the agents left. Karen hurried to Alex, shaking like a leaf. "Alex," she said softly, "It seems I misunderstood everything." Alex crossed his arms. "Did you?" "Yes," Karen said quickly. "I didn't know how important. She stopped breathing long enough to almost faint. "I'm sorry," she finally blurted out. "I'm really sorry. About everything. Truly." Alex didn't say anything. Karen continued babbling. "And my son too. He was confused. And the HOA letters? All a misunderstanding. A mistake, eh? A silly mix-up." Her smile was painfully forced. Her hands trembled. "I hope we can start fresh," she said. "No more problems. No more drama. Friends." Alex stared at her for a long moment. Finally, he nodded once. "Just stop the harassment," he said quietly. Karen nodded so fast she looked like a bobblehead. "Of course. Immediately. Right now, no more," she said, backing away. Karen didn't walk back to her house. She ran. Because for the first time, she realized she had picked a fight with the one person she should have never crossed. For the next few days, the neighborhood felt strangely peaceful. Too peaceful. No whole letters. No yelling. No spying eyes from behind curtains. No late-night complaints. It almost felt like Karen had vanished from the world. But Alex knew better. People like Karen never disappear. They just hide and plan. Still, Alex tried to enjoy the calm. He spent his mornings on the porch, drinking coffee while staring at the lake. The water sparkled under the early sun. Birds chirped. Families walked by with friendly waves. Everything looked normal. But beneath that peaceful view, tension still sat in the air, quiet, but alive. Karen's strange behavior. Karen didn't talk to him. She didn't look at him. She didn't even walk on the same side of the road as him. She avoided him like he was the sun and she was a vampire. Whenever she saw him outside, she would freeze, spin around, and rush back indoors like she forgot she left the oven on. Her son, normally loud and energetic, stayed unusually quiet around Alex too. Every time he saw Alex, he whispered something to his mom and quickly hurried inside. It was obvious. They were scared, not because Alex had done anything wrong, but because Karen now knew she had messed with the wrong person. Still, Alex sensed something else, something unsettled. Karen wasn't the type to give up. She wasn't the type to accept defeat quietly. This silence wasn't surrender. It was preparation. The neighborhood starts talking within a week. Small rumors began swirling around like leaves in the wind. Alex couldn't help overhearing them. The neighbors weren't subtle. "Did you see the black SUV the other day? Those men looked official. I heard Alex works for some government security thing." Karen looked like she saw a ghost when they got out. "I think she finally met her match." People talked at the dog park. They whispered at the mailboxes. They discussed it walking their kids to school. And Karen hated that. Alex could almost feel her frustration growing every time she heard her name mentioned. One afternoon, while Alex was sweeping his driveway, two neighbors passing by stopped to chat. "Morning, Alex," Mrs. Daniels said cheerfully. We heard you had some important guests recently. Alex smiled politely. Just work stuff. The other neighbor leaned closer, lowering her voice. Karen hasn't been the same since. She's been trying so hard to act normal. Mrs. Daniels added honestly. It's about time someone stood up to her. They laughed softly and walked away. Alex sighed. He didn't want conflict. He didn't want drama. He didn't want to be the neighborhood's new hero. But Karen didn't like losing control. And losing control in front of an audience? That was something she couldn't tolerate. HOA emergency meeting gone evening. A flyer appeared on everyone's doorstep. Double quotes HOA emergency meeting. All residents must attend. Alex raised an eyebrow. Emergency? For what? A missing plant? A trash can left out? He didn't want to go, but he also knew Karen was going to do something dramatic. It was better to face it head on. When he arrived, almost the whole neighborhood was there. People filled the community hall, whispering and waiting. Karen stood at the front, nervously shuffling papers. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Her hair was messy. Her smile was fake. Her hands trembled as she pretended everything was under control. "Hello, everyone," she said in a shaky voice. "Thank you for coming on short notice." People whispered again. Karen cleared her throat loudly. "We have some important issues to discuss," she continued. "Serious issues." Alex leaned back in his chair. "Here it comes." Karen held up a folder. "It has come to my attention that certain individuals in this community have ignored HOA rules repeatedly, creating unnecessary problems." Alex didn't move, but half the room turned their heads toward him. Karen noticed and panicked. No, I mean this is not about one person. Not at all. This is general information." The neighbors exchanged confused looks. Karen rushed forward. "We must protect the safety and reputation of our community." Safety? Reputation? This was getting ridiculous. Her voice grew more tense. "We must ensure that everyone living here follows the rules exactly. No exceptions." Someone raised a hand. "Karen, is this about Alex?" The room murmured. Karen's face turned white. "No. Why would you say that?" Another neighbor added. "Because you've been treating him unfairly for months, and now you're scared because he works with the government." Someone else said. The room erupted with whispers. Karen's eyes widened in shock. "That is not true." But no one believed her. Alex sat silently, watching her unravel. Karen slammed the folder shut. "Fine," she shouted. "Yes, this is about Alex." The room fell silent. Karen pointed a shaking finger at him. "He has a powerful job. He thinks he can do whatever he wants." Alex raised an eyebrow. "What exactly did I do, Karen?" You, she stuttered. "You put your jet ski in the wrong place." The room burst into laughter. Even Karen's own son covered his face in embarrassment. Karen tried to speak again, but the room was already against her. A neighbor stood. "Karen, you've been bullying half the community for years. Maybe you're scared because you finally can't bully this one." Another added. "Maybe you should follow the rules for once." Karen stepped back like she'd been slapped. Her eyes filled with angry tears. "You're all ungrateful," she whispered. "I'm the only one trying to keep this community perfect." But no one supported her. Not a single person. Her control was gone. Completely gone. The quiet after the storm. Meeting ended with the neighbors voting to reduce Karen's whole power temporarily. She still had a title but no longer full control. When Alex walked out, Karen stood near the door, staring at him. Her face was pale. Her eyes were cold, and her voice was low. "This isn't over," she whispered. Alex didn't respond. He didn't need to. He could already feel it. Karen wasn't going to attack him publicly anymore. She was too scared for that. But a secret war, a silent war, that was different. Karen wasn't finished. After the chaotic HOA meeting, the neighborhood slowly returned to normal life. Families watered their lawns again. Kids played in the street. Dogs barked at passing cars. Everything seemed peaceful. But Alex knew it was the kind of peace that came before a final storm. Karen had said it herself, "This isn't over," and she meant it. Karen's disappearing act in the days following the meeting. Karen almost completely vanished from sight. No dramatic yelling. No whole letters. No spying through curtains. No angry confrontations. Just nothing. Her car stayed in the driveway, but she rarely came out. Sometimes neighbors spotted her at night, slipping outside to bring in packages, or check her mailbox like a thief avoiding the streetlights. She barely spoke to anyone her son avoided. Everyone did. It was like they were hiding from the world. But hiding why? That part was unclear. Alex sensed she wasn't finished planning something. People like Karen didn't give up just because they lost a little power. In fact, losing power usually made them even more dangerous. Something off on the lake one evening. Alex decided to take his jet ski out for a slow ride. The setting sun cast orange reflections across the water. It was quiet and peaceful, the kind of peace he always loved. He rode farther out, away from the shore, where the breeze was cool and steady. Then he noticed something strange, a small boat near the far end of the lake. It wasn't the boat itself that caught his attention, but the flashing light coming from inside. Someone was taking pictures. At first, he didn't think much of it. Tourists often took photos of the lake. But then the boat turned slightly, and he saw the outline of the person holding the camera. Karen. She ducked her head the moment she realized he spotted her. Alex sighed. So this was her next plan? Taking pictures of him on the lake, trying to gather evidence for more HOA drama? But this wasn't HOA business anymore. This felt like something bigger, stranger, desperate. He cut his engine and watched her for a moment. She fumbled with something in her bag, more papers, maybe a recording device. She wasn't relaxing. She wasn't enjoying the lake. She was working on something, and Alex knew she wasn't working on anything good. The anonymous email next morning. Alex woke early and checked his inbox. There it was. An email from an unknown sender. No name, no signature, just a subject line: "You're not safe here." Alex opened the message. There was a single photo attached, a photo of him, taken from the lake the previous evening. He didn't need a detective to know who sent it. Karen was trying to scare him, but why? What was her endgame? Did she really think a blurry photo of him on a jet ski would scare someone who literally worked with federal security teams? He didn't reply. He didn't react. He simply saved the email and moved on with his day. But the message was clear. Karen was preparing for her final move. The HOA confronts Karen by the end of the week. Karen's behavior became so odd that the HOA board, the other members, not just her, called a meeting without inviting her. They asked Alex and a few neighbors to join. Mrs. Daniels, the oldest board member, spoke first. "We're worried," she said. "Karen has been acting extremely strange. She filed 3 new complaints this week. All about you, Alex." Alex raised an eyebrow. What did she complain about this time? Mrs. Daniels flipped through her papers. One complaint said your jet ski was too shiny and distracting. Another said you were controlling the lake. The room burst into confused laughter. And the last one, her voice dropped. She said you have connections that threaten her personal freedom. Everyone exchanged shocked looks. Alex sighed. "She's spiraling." Mr. Lewis, another board member, nodded. "We think she's planning something big. Something to get you removed from the community." Alex stared at the table. Removed? This was her goal now? The entire room turned to him. "What do you think she's doing, Alex?" Mrs. Daniels asked. Alex answered quietly. "She's scared. And scared people make desperate decisions." Karen's final visit at night. Alex was closing his blinds when he heard footsteps on his porch. He opened the door slowly. Karen stood there. Her hair was messy. Her eyes were red. Her hands shook as she held a stack of papers. "Alex," she whispered, "I need to talk to you." He didn't answer. He simply waited. She stepped closer, her voice weak and shaky. You think everyone is against you. But the truth is, I am the one who should be scared." Alex didn't react. She looked around nervously, as if someone was watching her. "I know who you work with," she whispered. "I know what you do. And I know you have power." Alex stayed silent. Karen's voice cracked. "And I don't have anything, nothing, no respect, no support. Not even my son listens to me anymore." She shoved the papers into his hands. "This is everything," she said breathlessly. "Every complaint I ever wrote, every report I ever filed, every photo, every document." She backed away like she was afraid he might hurt her even though Alex hadn't moved an inch. "I withdraw everything," she whispered. "I give up." Then she turned and ran back home without looking back. The truth behind Karen's breakdown. Later that night, Alex sat at his table and read every paper, every complaint, every note Karen had written. It was worse than he expected. She wasn't trying to destroy him because she hated him. She was trying to destroy him because she was scared of him. Terrified, actually. She believed he had more power than he did. She believed he could ruin her life. She believed one mistake with him would end everything she had. She wasn't fighting a war. She was fighting her own imagination. Her silent war had been against her own fear. The final outcome of next week, the HOA officially removed Karen as president. She wasn't banned from the community, but she no longer had authority over anyone. Her son apologized to Alex at the mailbox one morning. "I'm sorry for everything," the boy muttered. "My mom, she's going through stuff." Alex nodded kindly. "It's okay. Take care of her." Karen stayed quiet for months after that. No more drama. No more letters. No more surprises. Whenever she saw Alex, she gave a tiny nod, almost like a peace treaty. And Alex? He finally enjoyed the lake in peace. No fights. No threats. No silent wars. Just calm water and quiet sunsets.